Well, do you know what? It's a labour of love, isn't it, Steve, when you get these old radios? You know, and the thing is, Steve, if you got it for the right price, that's what it's all about, you know? That's what it comes down to, innit? Is grabbing a bargain, you know, little victories. So, yeah, if it needs a bit of work, it needs a bit of work. I've just bung the recorder on for this, just so that you can hear yourself on this radio. I know it's all subjective, you know, this old radio, your old radio, and the antennas and that, and the fact that we're probably operating a little bit of ground wave, but 5 and 9 plus 20 to me with RF attenuation in, so that's not to be unexpected. But you know, Ten Tec radios, I've never really considered them. I've never sort of, the only Ten Tecs I've ever seen really have been receivers. You know, it wasn't one of those things that I'd considered as a transmitter. I think really, I mean, Kenwood and Trio are the ones that I like, you know. They're the ones that, you know, I want to sort of concentrate on. But having said that, I've got that 101ZD and I've got the FL100B, FR100B pairing, and I've got my Swan 350, you know, to actually play around with and get stuck into at some point. I'm in no rush. But yeah, I think, you know, Kenwood is probably where I'm going to keep going, or Trio, you know, because obviously if they're older ones, they're going to be Trio. And funnily enough, you saying you picked it up at Hamzilla. Obviously you didn't pick up COVID, which was good, because it seems like the world in his dog got it down there. But what I did get through the post the other day, I think it was Wednesday or Thursday it turned up, I've got an old Trio Tango Sierra 700 multi-mode 2-metre rig. Unfortunately, it's got no transmitter at the moment. I'm going to have a look into that. Seems to receive GB3 VHF okay. And well, I think you can receive that, can't you, by sticking your finger up in the air and hearing it on your fillings, you know, that thing so loud. Obviously it's so local, but yeah, I've got that one to play about with as well. But yeah, the Ten Tec, as I say, I've only ever seen Ten Tecs as receivers, never transmitters or transceivers there, Steve. G3ZPS M0JCF.
I tested positive for COVID yesterday, very weakly. I had a cough and a runny nose yesterday, but strangely today I feel like 90% okay. So I'm going to test myself later, but you know, there's a number of places I could have picked it up. Yeah, I just had a bit of a cold yesterday. I tested, it was very weakly positive, but I feel fine. Almost 100% again, but you know, we're isolated here, and it's a right pain in the bum. I was supposed to be out today in the sports car and rehearsing with the band tonight. Had a gig on Wednesday, but I shelved them all. I don't want to give it to everybody. Yeah, it could have been Angela. Yeah, the Ten Tecs they're a bit quirky. They were highly desirable back in the day, probably in America. People liked them before everything went synthesised and that. Well, they did that as well. But they never had the service back up in the UK and getting parts. So this is an Omni-D digital readout, like an SD101ZD. It's got great seats, all the filters in it, great CW filters, audio filter. And no processing or anything. And it works straight. It works straight. I just had to leave the PTO once it's settled and not touch it, and it works absolutely straight. Yeah, the TS700, I remember them. They can struggle a bit back in the day, all over a VHF. But I've got a 770. I might get rid of it actually. It came from Guy. Somebody gave it to Guy. It's been really bodged. Somebody bodged it. Well, it's somebody you would know, but will remain nameless. Bodged a new transformer into it. It didn't fit. They bodged it in a way that you can get the case of it. It looks awful. And it had a few faults, and I repaired all of them, I think. And I had those contacts on 2 and 70. And then it started playing up again, and now the ALC holds off the transmitter and it won't transmit. I know that if I disconnect the ALC I can make it transmit. It sounds awful, but I can do it. But the thing is, it's on these giant printed circuit boards, one at the top, one at the bottom. James brought me a suit. Thank you. Just sit on the floor, James. Just sit on the floor. And, of course, it bends your band. It's got all these ALC components connected to both of the A270. And you can't, if you change a component, you've got to take a whole board out. And then you've got to put it all back to find out if you've cured the fault. And I just can't fathom the ALC. You've got to get to the voltages, you've got to get your probe on the pins and components. So we're probably going to move it on and go on me and then go out for a curry on the proceeds, Mark. Go ahead.
Do you know what? That sounds like a good idea to me. I've had stuff like that in the past. You know, when you buy it and you think, that'd be easy. No problems with that. And I'll tell you what, I've had a few of those FT290Rs like that. You know how tightly crammed they are in with boards and sub-boards and daughter boards and everything. And all I wanted to do one day on a 290R was change the front panel. The front panel on the one that I had was a bit bashed up, and I had a really nice quality front panel from a 290R. So I took all the knobs off, undone the screws. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. What a game. Never again, That was just replacing a bit of plastic on the front, but half the boards come apart and the wiring's so tight and everything, These things were designed, they were assembled and then used, and they were not designed to be taken apart again and repaired. It's like, some of these modern cars where they've literally built the car around the headlamp bulb or something ridiculous like that. And so to change the headlamp bulb, you've got to dismantle half the front of the car, have the wheel off, have the steering system out and everything, And I know this from experience. My daughter's Ford KA, you would have thought, one of the simplest the littlest Fords around, and it's it's got to be 12, 13, 14 years old now. It's going in for its MOT, needed a side light bulb, that's all it needed. Do you know what? 3 hours, and I had to use an angle grinder and various levers and God knows what else just to get to that side light bulb and put it all back together. And I thought to myself, this is ridiculous. It's a bulb. I could understand if it was something else. And I think some of these radios are just like that, Steve, And the problem with this older stuff as well is what the fault is, how to repair the fault, but the chances of you putting 3 different faults on it while repairing that fault, it does become, as I said, it's a labour of love. And you just, some of them, you think to yourself, do you know what? I'll use it until it stops working, and then when it stops working, as you say, sell it as spares and repair, and then buy yourself a curry, mate. G3ZPS M0JCF.
That's what we're going to do then. We're going to do that. Sitting down my workshop. I tried for days trying to find the fault, but you just can't change a component. You can in the Yaesu FT221s and that. You can pull out a plug-in board. This thing's all open. You can get just everything in a Ten Tec. But the heart of it is this PTO with the and you have to pull all the front panel off to open it. And it's not electronics. It's mechanical like craft. To get all the grease out and repack it. And I just can't. I had it apart and reset the carry rod laters because they were miles out, but yes, the 40K, I don't know about that, but it's the same as the Citroen C3 that my wife's got. You have to have the fingers, I don't know what, and a special pair of circlip pliers to change the headlamp bulb. And I tried to get it changed at Halfords, but they didn't have anybody to do it. So in the end, when it went in for its MOT, we had to swallow it, like 40 quid or something, and get them to do it. There's no other way. I couldn't get in there. So, but I'm a big Nissan four-wheel drive. You just open the bonnet, pull the connector off, unscrew it, put a new bulb in. Simple as that. Yeah, the TS520 is it's okay, isn't it? I've used them. I've never owned one. In fact, the only Kenwood I play with is TS770, so I've got no Kenwoods but I've got too much. I must be over 40 now. Just in here, I've got the Ten Tec, the FT401, FT1, the B line, the C line, the FT7B. I've got the Icon 7200, which is the only modern radio, and I've got the AC military radio, and that's just in here. Down the workshop, which is supposed to be my studio. It's just, I don't know, I'm going to start getting rid of stuff, mate. So, anyway, I'll catch you later. I just had an email from Dave EI2HPB. He picked up COVID, and he's offered me some tickets for a gig tomorrow night. And I just went back to him and said, I can't know. So I'm testing positive as well, but he's not too good with it. But I had the COVID last year, which was quite bad, and I think this one is pretty mild if you've had the other one. So anyway, in any other year, I would have just got on with the sniffle and got on with the life, but you can't do that, can you? You've got to wait till you get 2 clear days. Okay, mate, I'll catch you later. M0JCF G3ZPS.
G3ZPS and M0JCF returning for your final. Yeah, well, I had it just before Christmas. Luckily, me and my wife came out of isolation on the 23rd of December. But yeah, for me, it was a mild common cold sort of thing. It was an inconvenience. But of course, that was probably the Omicron variant, you know, the last widely spoken about variant. I think it's varied a few times after that as well, and it seems to be on the increase again. But you know, hopefully, you know, it's not the killer. But then, you know, people go into hospital and die every year from flu and common colds and scratching their hands on rose thorns and God knows what else, Steve. You know, it's just I think it's just, you get to the point, you know, it's a chance you take, isn't it? You know, yeah, I didn't want to catch it in the beginning, I've got to say. You know, a novel virus is not something that anyone wants in their system. But you know, two and a bit years on, I suppose, from its inception in China, we're talking getting on for 2.5 years now. You know, so you know, better to catch it now than back then. But yeah, well, good luck with the gigs one way or another. As I say, if you're going to be practicing, yeah, you just obviously you don't want to be sharing microphones, do you? Or guitar strings or anything like that, you know, all joking aside. All right then, mate, well, take care. Hope you feel better soon. And as I say, I've done a little video, and I'll pass it on to you either via the WhatsApp or via the email or via something, you know. I'll put it on YouTube, and I'll probably just put the link, Steve, and you can see what you sound like. But it's got a great tone out of that radio. You do sound good, I've got to say. You know, you'd never know it was an older radio. But then again, what does sound like an old radio these days? I suppose crystal microphones are really the only things that sort of give things away. I think crystal microphones have got a sound all of their own. But anyway, mate, look, I'm waffling on, and I won't hold you up. So I wish you best 73. Take care. And I say I should be getting out in the garden and chopping up some ivy and getting it off the fences. But it looks like I might play a little bit more radio, and then that's it. I'll get back out in the sunshine. Cheers, mate. 73.
You might get to the end and find you haven't got a working radio. I think it would have been better said you might have a problem, but we'll get you through it. But I don't know if you're going to. I'm sure you are. You build so many kits, you probably will build one. But it looks fairly straightforward. Just getting the relays through the board, and not a lot of wire to solder. And no problem with the enamel wire that self-fluxes, and my QCX work perfectly. But anyway, we'll see. I don't know if he's got the right number yet. I think he wants to get the 50, doesn't he? But it was an interesting presentation. All right, dude, I'll catch you later. G3ZPS.
Yeah, cheers, mate. I've ordered 2 of them, as you might have expected. Take care. Catch you later. Bye-bye.
Why 2?
Well, one of them is to build properly and just use it. The other one is to build and faff around with it, change parts, move things around, experiment until it don't work anymore ever again. Cheers, mate. Right, before I go QRT, would anyone like a quick report? This is Mike 0, Juliet Charlie Foxtrot, southeast of England. Was that Mike 6, Romeo Juliet Alpha? Back to you.
That is correct, my friend. Your name this way is Robert and Ferndale there. Back to you.
Okay, Robert, let me just get you in the log at 1311. Sorry, I didn't catch where the QTH was. I'm just in Sidcup in Kent, so I could be a long way away or I could be on your doorstep, like Steve I've just been speaking to is on my doorstep. But yeah, if you, I'm in Sidcup in Kent, just down there in the southeast, and using a TS520S. Running about 100 watts into a 90-foot long wire. Now, your audio was very good, and I'm suspecting that you got a very good signal as well for 10 watts. So I'll pass it back to you, M6 RJA, M0 JCF. Absolutely superb, mate. 5 and 9 plus 10 on that one, and that's with RF attenuation in. And yeah, I know Bournemouth. Well, I say I know Bournemouth very well. I know it well enough, and I know Paul as well because I've got family. My family, if we go back to my grandparents and then great grandparents, my family come from a split of Wales and Dorset and Devon. So, you know, and when I was younger, I mean, I'm 59 now, but when I was younger, we used to go to Bournemouth and Poole. And one of my uncles, way back in the day, in the 70s, was a marshal at Poole Pirate Speedway. I was a very keen Speedway fanatic back in the 70s and early 80s, and even raced myself, but never at Poole. But yeah, so I I know the area, and every now and again, me and my wife, if we're going to have a long weekend away, Bournemouth and Poole are probably the two go-to places. You know, they're sort of, as relatively speaking, on the doorstep. But yeah, your signal's absolutely stonking up this way, mate. Back to you. Yeah, absolutely fine, mate. And I mean, you know, it's testament to this old kit. You know, it's yeah, it holds up well. So you know, like you buy this old kit and you have to expect problems. That's what me and Steve were just talking about. But you know, some of it's a real labour of love. You've got to spend a lot of time. And then other bits of kit, you know, it's sort of, you plug it in and it pretty much works from the get-go. Now, this radio, it was sold to me as working, but it had an AGC problem, and it still has got a bit of an AGC problem. Sometimes the needle will wrap itself round the stop, and other times the needle won't move. But I tend to leave the AGC on fast for SSB, but you know, if the signal's a bit quiet and I turn it off, and then yeah, I can get some really good audio on weaker signals. But having it on slow, it depends. Sometimes it can knock the signal right back. It's just a very quirky thing. I mean, it had a relay problem and other things, you know. But once it was all sorted out, and I've had this radio for nearly a year now, it's working really well. But glad to have got you in the log, Robert. So I won't hold it too long. Believe it or not, this wasn't my frequency. EI2HPB Dave over in northwest Ireland. had the frequency. He had to go QRT. After he spoke to me, he spoke to M0NVT in Liverpool. And so after he'd gone QRT, I just called Colin in Liverpool and had a chat with him. And after I'd finished with him, Steve, who's local to me, he's a club member, he came up and, do you know what, I seem to have grabbed this frequency and, you know, and you always know that somebody somewhere is probably listening. So I don't generally go QRT, bang, that's it. I always ask someone if they'd like a report, and as it goes on, because I've got a bit of a motor mouth, I'll just give you a quick report turns into a long old rag chew. So that's the story this end there, Robert. M6 RJA M0 JCF.
TS140S and Icon 1062 meters back to you.
Oh, Roger, mate. Yeah, the Icon 140. Sorry. Do you say? Start again. The Kenwood 140. Have you had any problems with the display on that? Back to you. Okay, it's just that I heard stories, and I've never seen it myself. But you know, if you search on, I think it's the 140 and a few others, they suffer with what's known as the dreaded dots. And what happens is your display just turns into a load of dots, and there's no transmit, or well, there's no nothing. And apparently they're a real pain in the neck. It's a capacitor job, and you know, it's a real pain in the neck to repair it. But if you've got a good worker, I think what it is, a lot of these old radios, they get stored for years. And you know, electronics doesn't like to be stored for years. Capacitors especially. If you, every time you know you fire up a piece of equipment and the capacitors sort of, they reform themselves if they're getting a bit tired and that. And I think it's what keeps all this gear alive. And I think what's happening is people are storing these older radios, and then you know, just you know, they go switch it on one day, and you know, mysteriously overnight, in inverted commas, i.e. 5 years, you know, they've stopped working, you know, and people are scratching their heads and saying, oh, I don't get this, it was working perfectly when I put it away. But yeah, so if you're using it, mate, you'll probably find you won't have that problem. But yeah, it's just worth noting. But oh, I've got lots of old gear here, Robert. I've got the TS520 that I'm talking on, and I must have bored the shortwave listening world to death with this. But I've got an FT101ZD, Swan 350, couple of summer camps. Oh, I've just purchased a TS700 2-meter multi-mode, which is you know, an old analog radio. And I do like my old radios, my analog radios. I like valves and stuff like that, and hybrids. I mean, this one's a hybrid, so it's got valves in it, so that counts. But I've got more modern gear. That's all in the loft. But yeah, I don't tend to use it a lot these days. I think for the last year I've pretty much been using like hybrids and valves. But that's the story there, mate. And just so that you know, up this way, being that you live in what I call a holiday destination up here in the southeast of England, and I'm about 15 miles, I suppose, southeast of the centre of London. Down here we've got nice sunshine now. It came over cloudy earlier. I'd say it's about 13 degrees out there, and it is proper, you know, proper go out in the garden and do a bit of maintenance type weather. It's not like lay out in it or anything like that, but it's not bad weather. And as I recall from where you are, sort of Bournemouth beaches and round there, I mean, it's a lovely part of the world. I would just imagine probably a bit breezy today. Back to you.
Yeah, it's fine, sunny here. About 13 degrees, same as you, nice and warm. I just tried to run the beans, ready to bring on. The Kenwood, that works absolutely fine. I acquired a Kenwood, I never wanted a CB radio, so I said I've got a CB radio, so it's a communicator, there's an old one. I said it works absolutely fine, no problem with it. That's what you're looking for, is what I do. But a lucky you're going to be a driver. I've got an old show with him, steady, said. He used to have a CB band, he said, but as far as I know, it works all right. If you're happy, he said, I'll do your level chop, so that's what I done with there back to you.
Absolute stonking bargain, that, mate. Swap a CB for an HF radio. It don't get better, does it? I've got a few CBs hanging around, believe it or not. I've got one that I bought in 2018 in the United States. It's an old realistic TRC 422A. It's brand new in the box with all the paperwork and everything. And the reason I bought it is because that was one of the first 40 channel rigs that I ever owned around about 1979, and you know, I bought it for nostalgia, and to be honest, I got it home, and apart from taking it out the box to have a look at it, I haven't actually used it or anything. I wouldn't even know if it works. You know, I'm saying about with these old radios need to be plugged in, but I wouldn't know, mate. And until recently I did have a few multi-mode CB type radios that I used on 10 meters. I had an AR-144, I've had President Lincoln and a few others, but to be honest, it's all got moved on literally just before and just after Christmas. To fund more of this old valve rubbish that I'm storing up in the garage now. Well, okay, Robert, listen, mate, it's lovely speaking to you. As I say, I was only asking if anyone wanted a report, and we've seemed to have banged on for a good 10 minutes or so now. So I really am going to crack on. I'll see if anyone wants a report, genuinely, and they will be a report. But it's been lovely to have this mini rag chew with you. But as I say, I want to close it down in a minute, and then I'll get myself into the big wide world and enjoy what little sunshine before Monday comes around and we have to go back to work again. So over to you for any finals there, Robert. I wish you very best 73. Thank you again for calling in, and a great signal. I say absolutely stonking signal coming up there from the West Country. M6RJA, M0JCF.
Sadly passed away with cancer and that. Played a few of his radios. So I've actually got into ham radio. And so he passed away. So well before I go, he said, the Icon 400, if you can use it, he said, sure. So he gave it to me, and I've got to part it that way, and that's all his radio gear there. Back to you.
Yeah, Roger, mate. Sounds like a fine collection you got there, and something to keep you interested in the hobby for many years to come. But the IC7400, mate, sounding great with RF attenuation in. I think it's a 10 dB RF attenuator. I can't remember on this model. I mean, you're 5 and 9 plus 20, and I just knocked it out, and you was getting on for 5 and 9 plus 25. So yeah, a stonking signal. All right, then, mate. Take care. All the very best, and I'll catch you soon, I'm sure. And thanks for getting in the logbook. M6RJA, M0JCF, going clear. No, you're welcome, mate. Bye-bye for now. QRZ, Mike 0, Juliet, Charlie, Foxtrot, southeast of England, if you'd like a report. Okay, I got a 2E0, and I think it was a Mike Delta Mike, but please correct me if that was wrong. 2E0 MDM possibly. This is M0 JCF.
Name is Steve, like Sugar Texas, Echo Victor Echo, and I'm located near Windsor in Berkshire, over.
I'll tell you what, from Windsor in Berkshire, a lovely short skip there, Steve. 5 and 9 plus 20, no problems whatsoever. A good audio. The name this end is Mike Alpha Romeo Kilo, and I'm in Sidcup in Kent. So just around the down the M4, around the M25, up the A20 for you. Back to you there, Steve. 2E0 MDM M0 JCF.
I've got absolutely no problems at all with your signal this way. Using IC7000. This is the chassis the box radio that I've dug out of the cupboard that's been there forever. So I thought I'd give it a run there, over.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you what, Steve, don't know what antenna you're using, but that IC7000, really good, very loud audio on you. I'm using a 90-foot long wire, which is about 25 feet off the ground. The radio this end is an old analog hybrid trio. It's a TS520S. And just looking at the power meter, the radio is getting a bit tired. Was it when I've been on long QSOs for a while, the power starts to waver between I'd say 50 watts and about 110. At the moment it's just hanging around the 60 watt mark, so I think the valves are getting hot. They're probably getting a bit tired as well. I don't really want to up the plate current anymore. I don't want to kill it dead in its tracks. I've got spares, but you know, I don't want to ruin valves just to put spare valves in. So yeah, it's you might find me signal wavering slightly. I mean, there ain't a lot between 50 watts and 100 watts. Probably won't even notice it on your meter. Okay then, mate. Well, listen, apart from if you could give me the antenna that you're using, I'd like to wrap this one up as well, just because when you called in, a couple of people called in, and I want to just give some reports and then carry on with my afternoon. So back to you for any finals and your antenna, please there, Steve. 2E0 MDM M0 JCF.
Just in case, I mean, I always overcompensate for myself, but that's what it is. And you know, at the moment I'm running it as a sloper. It's from the back of the house, it's up about 14 feet, and then it runs on a slope up to a tree at the other end, about roughly about 64 watt. It's up to 35 feet at the top over.
Yeah, Roger, mate. Well, it's working well. As I say, you're consistently on the 5 and 9 plus 20, and you know, obviously it's very short skip as well. So both of us are probably launching a good stack of signal almost vertically, and it's coming back down. So it's working well for you, mate. Right, I'll let you carry on. As I say, I will just give a report, and that's all I really wanted to do before I go QRT, Steve. So take care. Thanks for coming back to me. Really appreciate getting in the log, and maybe we'll have a longer rag tune next time round. If you hear me on the lower bands, especially 40, well, you won't be able to use 60, but 40 and 80 definitely. You'll always hear me just battering on, so always jump in. You know, if you think this bloke's been talking for ages, I always welcome people just saying break and forming a little network as well. So take care, mate. Enjoy what's left of Sunday, and catch you next time. 2E0 MDM M0 JCF. Cheers, mate. 73.
Okay, yep, M0 JCF 2E0 MDM. Okay, mate, we're clear with you. 73 this time. Catch you soon. Bye-bye.
Cheers, mate. QRZ Mike 0 Juliet Charlie Fox.
Mike Whiskey 6 Hotel November.
Okay, Mike Whiskey 6 Hotel November. It looks like the conditions are favouring foundation licenses and 10 watts. Once again, absolutely great signal from you. I'll give you a proper report on the next over. The name this end is Mike Alpha Romeo Kilo, and I'm in Sidcup in Kent. The locator for that, if you're interested, Juliet Oscar 01 Bravo Kilo. Back to you, MW6 HNN. This is M0 JCF, Mark in Sidcup, Kent.
Yeah, 0 JCF
EI2HPB returning, Mark. Good afternoon. 57 to 15 dB over Jarvis USB. The name is Darren. I think we've worked once before, Mark, there, so nice to hear you in there. And remind your location is Tenby in South West Wales. I think you know where I am anyway, so a very good afternoon to you. Nice to hear you in there, Mark. Over.
Ah, Darren, yeah. Well, I know who you are, Darren, because you sold me my 817 all them years ago. I'm really pleased to get you in the log for the first time. 5 and 9 plus 10. It's a really nice signal from you, mate. And interestingly, I started a video running when I was talking to a local to me, Steve G3ZPS. He was just testing out a Ten Tec radio that he'd bought at Hamzilla, and I've left this running, so you've been picked up on the video, and you can see how you sound on the TS520S and my 90-foot long wire, mate. But yeah, 5 and 9 plus 10, absolutely no problem copying you, and a good audio as well. I think you're probably using the IC7300, is that correct? Back to you.
Yeah, I'm using the 7610 here, Mark. The 7610. And the halfway vent fed open with a dog leg at the bottom there. I had to move it here because I'm getting some roof work done, so there's scaffolding around the house, so I had to move the antenna. But it's the noise floor seems to be a lot better, Mark. Yeah, it's the 7610 ICOM, and I'm using one of these cheap and cheerful Chinese U-Ware NW700s there, so it seems to be working okay for us there. You hear about 10 down on frequency, but that's nothing there, just to let you know. I know you're using the 520 you're using, it sounded okay there, Mark. Over.
Yeah, today I'm using the 520. It was a toss-up where I was going to use the 520 or the FT101ZD, but it's the 520 today, Darren. And, well, as you know, sometimes I'll use a cheap Chinese thing for a bit of QRP fun and get great results from that as well. But, you know, you're consistently over the 5 and 9 plus 10, mate. I would say that I've just turned the AGC from fast to slow and settled down the needle a bit so that it wasn't like flicking over, and yeah, you're consistently 5 and 9 plus 10, so the conditions on 40 meters really favouring the QRP signals today as well. And it looks like everyone I'm speaking to today is all using NFEDs and slopers and God knows what else. Nice to hear, because I'm a lazy person when it comes to HF antennas, and of course all I've got up is just a 90-foot long wire, which has been, I've had this house 18.5 years now. I say that's been up 15 years, but you know, as I say, just bung a 91 on it, mate, and it works. All right, then, Darren, listen, mate, I'll cut you short, mate. Any other time I'd have a rag chew with you, but I did say, a couple of calls ago, I was going QRT and I was just giving reports, but you know what I'm like, mate. It's same as when I'm on the social media. Me mouth goes as much as me fingers do on the keyboard. So I'm going to wish you all the very best, and say 73 and enjoy what's left of Sunday, and let you carry on working the DX that I know you're very capable of. So take care, mate. 73 MW6HNN M0JCF.
Well, nice to catch you before you were going shooting off there. And I did see you were doing quick reports and quick QSOs there, so I thought I'd shoot in there anyway and see if I could get through here. Mark, have a terrific Sunday, mate. Stay well, stay safe, and we'll catch you again when we cross the 10 or 17. Mark, good. Have a good one. Cheers.
Yeah, cheers, Darren, and thanks again. I was using the FT817 just the other evening on 40 meters / QRP, still working really well. Really pleased with that purchase, mate. It's a keeper. Take care, and anyone who's listening, buy a radio from Darren. You won't get a duffer, you'll get a good radio. Cheers, mate.
Oh, cheers, mate. 73, Mark. Cheers.
Cheers. QRZ Mike 0 Juliet Charlie Fox. Really for a report. Yeah, 2E0 FQT M0 JCF. Mark in Sidcup in Kent using a TS520S analogue hybrid radio from the late 70s, early 80s, and a 90-foot long wire. I'll give you a report on the next over. 2E0 FQT M0 JCF.
County of Lincolnshire. This moment, man. Yeah, just swing it around and you put a wire over it. I wasn't too sure with it, but it's only going to cost you anyway. Oh, it's T3050 watts and 40. Oh, I've been blue it now. Anyway, it's about 20 meters. 20 meters of wire into a 9.1 bowen mag. That's what it did to yourself.
Yeah, 2E0 FQTM0 JCF returning. Well, yeah, 20 metres of wire, working really well. You're getting into me 5 and 9. There is QSB on your signal. You're actually shifting between sort of 5 and 7, 5 and 9. I'll log it as a 5 and 9, no problems whatsoever. And sorry, I didn't catch your name. I caught the radio and the antenna, etc. And you're in Lincolnshire, but didn't catch your name. If I could just have the name for the logbook. M0 JCF listening.
Okay, mate. John. Juliet Oscar Hotel at November. John was the name, mate. Okay. Yeah, that's big thing working there. I never used one before. I never had one. I had antennas. Well, they're getting on me. And I need a bit of work doing on them. It costs a bit of money, so I'll try a cheap way around it, man. That's why I'm trying to wire. Yeah. Okay. Thanks for that, Mark. I'll let you go frequency 73 from New Echo 0, Florida Queen, Tokyo, M0JC. Come out.
Yeah, cheers, mate. And just so you know, for your logbook, your lowest point of your signals 5 and 7, the highest point 5 and 9 plus 10. So it's working well. It's just the conditions in your direction not as good as west or southwest to me. Okay, mate, take care. 73 QRZ Mike 0 Juliet Charlie Fox. Okay, nothing is heard, so Mike 0 Juliet Charlie Foxtrot is going QRT. This frequency is clear for use.